Have you ever treated your fish for a disease and instead of them to get better, you started losing more fish? If your answer is yes, I want you to know that it is not peculiar to you. This is common to several other farmers. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact reasons that make mortality increases immediately after treatment begins and how you can stop losing fish. What I'm about to show you is one of the most misunderstood operations in practical fish farming. And if you are able to walk with me and watch this video to the very end, you will understand that a sudden spike in mortality in fish farming is largely avoidable. Believe me, you don't want to skip this video for anything in this world. The first reason why mortality increases immediately after treatment begins in fish farming is that the fish were already severely weak before treatment began. The biggest lesson you can take from this point is to sharpen your observation. Observation is key. Most farmers treat too late because they fail to identify certain things before it gets out of hand. And by the time they notice serious signs like loss of appetite, the fish hanging, erratic swimming, hemorrhages, lesions, the fish are already too stressed. Meanwhile, treatment requires energy. Treatment requires strength. So, once medication is applied, the fish expends more energy than usual. So, a weak fish cannot survive the stress of medication during treatment, even if the treatment is correct. You see, I am saying that treatment does not revive a fish that is already dying. It only stops the spread for the stronger ones. The second cause of mass mortality during treatment is wrong treatment. Wrong treatment for the wrong problem. This is one of the top reasons why mortality increases immediately after treatment begins. A lot of farmers treat symptoms instead of diagnosing the cause. A lot of farmers treat what they see instead of addressing the cause of the issue. A lot of farmers treat what they see, not what is causing the problem. But in fish farming, symptoms can deceive you because two different diseases can have the same physical signs. 3 different problems can cause fish to gasp for air. 4 different reasons can cause fish to lose appetite. So when a farmer applies the wrong treatment, the result is always the same. The real disease continues, the fish becomes stressed, and mortality increases. Many fish farmers make the wrong attempt of using salt as treatment for a bacterial infection. It is popular but wrong, and that is why such farmers record many losses. Salt is excellent for parasites, stress reduction, osmoregulation, and even fungal issues. But salt cannot cure bacterial issues like Pseudomonas or Aeromonas. If a bacterial infection is the real issue and the farmer pours salt, the bacteria will continue to multiply. The infection will become more aggressive. The fish will become more stressed from the treatment. The disease will spread more faster and rapidly, and mortality will rise. This is the cause of mass mortality, not the few mortality that began. Another wrong treatment is using antibiotics as treatment for parasite problem. Antibiotics have zero effects on parasites like Gyrodactylus. If parasite is the real issue and the farmer uses antibiotics, the parasites will keep tearing the gills of the fish, it will keep tearing the skin of the fish, it will keep tearing the skin or the fin of the fish. You see, and secondary infections will follow. Oxygen uptake will reduce and the fish will become more weak. Guess what happens afterwards? Mortality increases. Antibiotics is excellent to cure bacteria. Meanwhile, in this case, the antibiotics would have killed the beneficial bacteria. Immunity would have reduced. The liver and kidney would have been stressed as a result of response to treatment. You see, all of this worsens the situation. Another wrong treatment for a wrong problem is using formalin for mortality that is caused due to low oxygen. Formalin consumes dissolved oxygen heavily. If fish are already gasping due to low oxygen in the water and the farmer pours formalin, the oxygen level drops even lower. The fish suffocates faster, and this is how mortality skyrockets. You see, the farmer thinks the drug killed the fish, but in reality, the wrong drug killed the fish. Formalin in the right dosage is effective for external parasites and even fungal issues, but not for low oxygen problems, not for bacterial infections, obviously not for viral infections, and not for internal infections. The number 3 cause of mass mortality during treatment is wrong dosage. Wrong dosage can be in 2 ways. It can be overdose and it can be underdose. Let's talk about overdose first, because in my experience in the archery, in the grout, and with fish farmers, this is the biggest killer of fish during treatment: overdose. You see, those that produce drug for fish, they are called veterinary pharmacologists. They understand the threshold and the dosage that will kill the pathogen but will remain harmless to the fish. Now, when a farmer uses a high dosage than necessary, higher than that threshold, it will begin to irritate the skin of the fish. It will begin to burn the gills of the fish. It will begin to affect the internal organs of the fish, and the fish can go into shock. This is how the fish collapse and mass mortality occurs. Underdose, on the other hand, is using lesser dosage than necessary. This does not kill the fish immediately, but it affects it in 2 ways. The medication will not work because the dosage is lower than necessary, than what is required, but the medication will stress the fish. Also, a lower dosage could allow the pathogens to build resistance to the medication, and when next you use it, it may not be effective anymore. And you know where this ends. Mortality rises because the disease gets worse. Medication won't be helpful for you if you don't follow the right dosage. The 4th reason why mortality increases immediately after treatment begins in fish farming is due to water quality problems. There is a common saying in fish farming that goes thus: no water, no fish. In fact, I like to put it this way: no good quality water, no healthy fish. Treatment of fish without fixing the water problems is useless. So if there is low oxygen in the water, or there is ammonia buildup or organic pollutions, medication will not work. And guess what? Mortality will increase because the environment is still hostile. And the explanation to this is simple and straightforward. Unlike us humans, fish carry out all of their activities in water. They live in water, they eat in water, they breathe in water, they excrete in that same water, and do all of their activities in that same water. So if the water is bad, nothing will work. Drugs will not work, your medications will not work, chemicals will not work, antibiotics will not work. In fact, treatment in a bad water is double stress to the fish. Maintaining a good water quality contributes to the success of treatment, or whether your fish will recover or not. So don't treat fish in bad water, and don't treat fish when the dissolved oxygen in the water is low. You want to stabilize the condition first. You want to make sure everything is back to normalcy before you treat them. Fix the water first, stabilize the condition, and apply treatment. The fifth cause of mass mortality during treatment in fish farming is sudden change. Sudden change in the water chemistry. It is important to note, my point here is not about the change that happens, but how that change happens. Sudden change. Because a change in water chemistry is not always a big issue in fish farming, but how that change occurs is always a big thing to consider. And I'm going to show you how to avoid this. Many of the treatments we use, like salt, formalin, and antibiotics, can cause a change in the water chemistry. You see, the issue is not the change in the water chemistry. The issue is how that change happens. A sudden change can alter the pH of your water. A sudden change can alter how iron is balanced in the pond water. A sudden change can alter the water hardness. A sudden change can alter the dissolved oxygen in the water. So this sudden shift is sometimes very more dangerous than the initial disease. And this is how mortality increases in fish farming. This is one of the ways that mortality spikes immediately after treatment begins, because fish die not as a result of the disease that began, but as a result of the sudden change in the water parameters. So what should you do to avoid this? Frankly speaking, there are parameters you should never joke with on your farm. You should never joke with the level of your dissolved oxygen. You should never joke with your pH level, and you should not joke with your water hardness, among other things. The same way you are ensuring that your fish is not stressed physically, you want to ensure and do everything in your power to make sure that they are not chemically stressed. So what should you do? You should invest in water testing kits so that you can manage your dissolved oxygen. You want to manage your pH level, and you want to manage your water hardness. These are things you should never joke with, because they have a very high stake in your profit as a fish farmer. As simple as it is, these things can save you and protect your profit and protect your investment and how sustainable your fish farm can be. Another cause of mass mortality in fish farming is handling stress. The handling process is another hidden big killer in fish farming, and this is not even limited to during treatment alone. Just recently, a farmer friend of mine from the city of Abuja sent me a video of a lot of fish that was dead due to handling stress. And this handling stress was not even related to treatment, it was during sorting. So handling stress is a big issue that can occur during treatment or even while carrying out other farm operations. So I am saying that even when you use the right dosage in the right quantity and you use the right treatment, if the fish are not handled well, you can lose a lot of them, and this can be the reason why mortality spikes up. My point here is that as farmers, we must always ensure that the process and procedures of treating our fish should be more calm than the fish itself, because at this vulnerable stage, they are more prone. Any stress can spike up mortality. And if it is the case of sorting and or transportation or other activities, it means that the handling process, the transportation, and all of those operations should be more calmer than how the fish was. Because any stress can spike up mortality. Any stress in the chemical parameters or in the physical parameters. So the things you need to consider about this is that during treatment, don't overcrowd. Avoid moving fish from one pond to the other except when necessary. If it is not necessary, treat those fish in that pond where they are. But I am aware that there are situations where it is necessary for you to move them, whether to manage the volume of water or the quantity of medication. But the important thing is to make sure that the procedure is more calmer than the fish is. Why? because any stress can spike up mortality. So avoid moving fish into tanks or basin except when it is necessary. You should also avoid pouring chemicals directly on fish. And we have seen some farmers do this a lot when they pour maybe salt or some other drugs and medications directly in the pond water. And some of them even goes further to justify their actions that it is harmless to the fish. But hey, these people don't know when the issue begins to suffice on the farm, because even when the situation comes up, they don't know where the issue is coming from. You see, so you want to dilute your medications or any chemical whatsoever before you add it to your pond water. And you should treat in the morning when the temperature is stable. Of course, you could do this in the evening too, but ensure that the temperature is stable. If you are treating your fish in a very hot weather, you are stressing them. In fact, you are causing them more harm. That is double stress to them. Finally, another big cause of mass mortality, even after treatment begins in fish farming, is deadly oxygen drop caused by treatment. Compounding oxygen loss is a major cause of mass mortality in fish farming, especially after treatment has begun. And I specifically brought this to the last point so I can take time to explain it. This happens in two ways. First, once medications are applied in pond water, most of these medications consume oxygen heavily. They use up oxygen in a very high quantity. Meanwhile, this is the oxygen that your fish require in good quantity. In fact, more importantly, they need this oxygen more when they are stressed. In times of mortality, they need this oxygen. But once you apply medications use up oxygen heavily. Now, farmers who are not trying to mitigate this will end up losing a lot of fish. So you want to ensure that at the time of treating your fish in your pond, you want to ensure that your water is well oxygenated. In some cases, you may need to aerate your water. In some cases, you may only need to ensure that you have clean, good, and fresh water that is well oxygenated. So many of you farmers watching me right now, you can relate with what I'm saying. In fact, many of you have seen this thing cause a real issue on your farm. You are trying to save your fish, but you notice that the moment you began to treat them, the mortality spikes up. The mortality increases. It is because these medications are using up the dissolved oxygen in the water. Meanwhile, this dissolved oxygen are what is necessary for life for the fish. So once they use it up, it begins to compound the issue for the fish, and they begin to suffocate. They begin to die off. It's just like us human beings. Take a sick human being, for instance, who is sick, who is now locked up in a place where there is no oxygen. Do you see? And beyond that, he is now locked up in a place where there is something like a tear gas. You see, that human being will suffocate. What is happening there for the fish is far more terrible than what is happening in the scenario I just painted. So in a nutshell, how do you mitigate this? You want to ensure that your water is well oxygenated. During treatment is when you need to pay the most attention to your water oxygen. You want to aerate it when necessary, and you want to always check the oxygen levels with your dissolved oxygen probe, and you always want to maintain and manage a good oxygen level. And of course, for catfish, the requirement is 4 milligrams per liter. And that's not difficult. You insert your dissolved oxygen probe and you measure. Once it is lower than 4 milligrams per liter, you want to aerate your water. You will probably need to change your water in a stress-free procedure. Now, I said deadly oxygen drop that is caused by treatment happens in two ways. Let me explain the other way, how compounded oxygen can cause a spike in mortality. The second way is that the biochemical oxygen demand increases. Don't mind my grammar. I'm going to explain to you how this happens. When you medicate your fish, your medication is going to kill the pathogen, and make sure it is harmless for the fish. Now, when it kills the pathogens, even though you may not see it, the pathogens will die and begin to decompose. Now, this decomposition process uses oxygen. The decomposition process will not be successful without using oxygen. So it means that oxygen in your water will be reduced. Meanwhile, this oxygen is what your fish need in good quantity. This oxygen is what your fish need in more quantity when they are stressed. But the moment you put medication in it, the medication kills the pathogens die off, and while decomposition takes place, they use up oxygen. Can you see how oxygen is being depleted right in your pond, even with the actions that you take? Now, guess what happens afterwards? Your fish begins to suffocate. Mortality begins to increase, and once mortality increases, those parameters becomes more harmful to other fish, and this is how mortality spikes up. You see, and I've explained what to do earlier. Get your testing kits, manage your dissolved oxygen level, and always maintain good aeration and good oxygenated water every time, and more importantly, when treatment begins and throughout the treatment process in your fish farming. If this video makes sense to you, kindly tell us in the comment section what stood out for you. Please hit the like button and follow this page if you want more videos like this. Thank you.